Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another update video. In today's update video, we are once again taking a look at the PTR 9CT. As always, if you are looking for a way to support what I do here on the channel, you can check out those links down in the description. The very first link is to my Firearm Freedom merchandise store if you would like to check out some sick new t-shirts that I have, including the different ones that I'm wearing throughout this video. You can check them out down at the link below, and I do seriously appreciate you guys repping the brand. If you want to make sure you're not being censored here on YouTube and you want to see this content, make sure to comment down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. All of that interaction should make sure that these videos stay in your feed. I know that some of you really wanted to see this video, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that are like, oh my god, how is he making another video about this freaking PTR? But here we are. Hopefully this is going to be one of the final updates and just complete videos on the PTR 9CT. I'm sure this thing will make it into another video or two down the road depending on what I am doing, but this is probably going to be the final update video on where I stand with the PTR 9CT. If you guys don't already know, I'm going to throw a card up in the right hand corner of the screen of the entire playlist of this SBR here. If you want to just skip right to it, go to the fourth video and the most recent video in that playlist to get the entire situation. I bought this PTR. It was having some issues because I ran it suppressed for 100 rounds. PTR said, hey, that's cool, you voided the warranty, and there was a bunch of issues with that. I had to drop the YouTuber card and say, hey man, you know, just a heads up, I'm making videos on this, so if you guys do want to make it right, I'll report that on the video. If not, you know, either way, it's getting reported on the video, so that's just a heads up. And lo and behold, after that, they tried to actually fix it. The 9CT got roller bumps in about 800 rounds. None of those were suppressed, and most of that was 115 grain ammo. They fixed it the second time and pushed the roller bumps in, and you guys saw the last video in that 4-part series. It ran 250 rounds, no problem. Now, that was the first time in this gun's life that it actually went through 250 rounds without issue. The malfunctions ranged from failures to extract, failures to feed, double feeds. It was all over the place. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think this was just out of spec from the get-go, and the head spacing may have been off or something like that, causing the roller bumps. Many of you, after that 4-part series, continued to ask me, hey, how's it running? How's the PTR 9CT running? What's going on with that? I have a little bit of a surprise, and the other reason why I'm doing this video is because very, very shortly, you guys are going to be seeing on the channel about as close to the real deal German MP5 as I am ever going to get. So stay tuned for that little surprise that should be coming shortly in a first impressions video, and I'm pretty excited about it. I did not shoot this for probably about a year after that video, that final video in the series. So when everyone was asking me about the updates, you know, we started going into crazy ammunition shortage issues, and I was just salty as hell about this gun. When you're looking at the overall company and the experience as a whole, it left me with a horrible taste in my mouth with this gun. And if you've ever had kind of a really finicky and unreliable gun in the collection, you know that it's always a pain in the butt at the range. You're pulling the trigger each time, and you just kind of know it's not going to run. And in this case, I didn't want to deal with it. I was like, you know what, 250 rounds, it works. I'll throw it in the back of the safe and forget about it. Well, more recently, I decided that my saltiness has gone down a little bit, and I would start bringing it back to the range. Ironically, the very first range day back out with this gun, all of a sudden, it did not work. We accounted those issues primarily to the AC Unity magazine. These mags ran perfectly in my other good buddy's SP5K, and these mags just did not want to run at all in the PTR. Now, was that the fault of the magazines? Well, I believe I mentioned in that video, you know what, I I don't know if these were the issue or if it was the gun, because the gun has had so many issues and because these ran great in the HK. Lo and behold, the next range day that I took it out with standard MP5 magazines, including this German MP5 mag here, the gun was not running at all. I could not even get through 4 or 5 rounds, major extraction issues, and it was kind of funny. I don't think we got it on film, but finally we went ahead and looked at the Extractor spring, which is a little bit tough to see there, and the Extractor itself, and obviously that should have some tension. Well, my other buddy put his knife to it and just kind of touched on it a little bit and tipped the gun over on the left-hand side, and the Extractor claw, that should be tight, it just you know, popped right out there and had no spring tension whatsoever. In fact, the Extractor was just kind of flopping back and forth. Never a good sign. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Joe, how old is that Extractor spring? You know, what's the issue there? Well, funny enough, that Extractor spring was put in at the last warranty repair trip, and it was supposedly a brand new Extractor spring. Now, even if that was an old one, that Extractor spring had probably about 300 rounds on it. I removed the Extractor spring. It was bent to all hell, and the Extractor spring should look straight so that it keeps tension on the Extractor, and instead of looking straight, it had a nice big wave in it. I went ahead and removed that Extractor spring, bought more Extractor springs online, some German ones, threw that in, and finally, here we are at this last range day. It ran 100 rounds of 115 grain brass ammunition without a hiccup. Is the gun going to continue to run reliably? Well, that is the question. And as many of you can probably hear from my voice, the trust of this company is completely out the window for me. I could never recommend the PTR 9CT or really recommend anything else from PTR, and I'll tell you why. With my PTR 91 308, that's an older PTR 91, it works flawlessly. It works 100%. I've never had a hiccup out of that gun, and it's one of my favorites. I have another buddy who has the exact same PTR 91 GI variation, and it does not like to run that much at all. It has a lot of issues. And if you look at my comment section, if you look at Reddit, if you look anywhere on the internet, you will see that the quality control from PTR is just lacking. And when you are looking at it, it seems to be about a 50-50 on whether or not what you buy, whether it's the 9mm, the 308, other variations, are either going to run or not run. And that is a huge issue. And we're not talking about $700 or $800 guns. We are talking about guns that are far north of the $1,000 price point. And in my opinion, that's just absolutely unacceptable. I have seen others get these PTR 9CTs, and they've run 100% without a single hiccup, and that is awesome. When the gun runs, it runs great. If it's shooting, it's crazy fast to get follow-up shots on. The MP5 platform as a whole is phenomenal. I love the MP5 platform. The shootability is incredible. And quite frankly, the outside fit and finish on every PTR that I've seen, or every PTR that I personally own, is great. The welds look phenomenal. You don't see any massive chips in paint or anything like that. These are great guns as far as the fit and finish goes. I mean, if you look at the welds on the rear sight there, not bad at all. You actually have a diopter rear sight, which is a huge plus in my opinion. You have a pick rail that's welded on there, which again is nice. I've went ahead and installed the wide handguard here on the bottom. I've also added the standard fixed Navy style stock for the MP5. If you're going to have it in these configurations here, this is probably one of my favorites. Why have I not gotten rid of the gun? It runs okay now. If I just have to keep switching out Extractor springs every once in a while, fine. And I'm just, I'm in it so much at this point, and I would not want to pass this problem on to anybody else. So at this point, it is what it is. I'm just going to keep it, and even if I keep it as just kind of more of the collectible MP5 variation that I have in my safe that just kind of like looks the part of this configuration, whatever, I'm fine with it. It goes bang every once in a while. It's not going to be a defensive option or anything like that. One of the other things that gets me really salty about these guns is the fact of being able to suppress it. And I would have loved to continue to suppress this MP5 variation, but because of the roller bumps and because of my experience with PTR, I have not had the desire to throw a suppressor on the end here and see how it runs, because if those roller bumps come back, I'm sure PTR overall is not a huge fan of me or my channel right now with all the videos that I've put out, but I will say 100% that each and every one of these videos has been honest through and through, and I don't think I've just bashed the company, and that's what I believe a lot of my viewers expect from my channel. Of course, I'm always open to a company making it right, and the reality of it is my warranty repair experience was just not great with PTR. I did not have a good experience, and I know a lot of people out there have had the same experience that I have. I know that now, I don't know if it's from my video series or something else out there online, they have now been telling folks that if you do suppress the gun, it voids the warranty, and if you ask them how to suppress the gun, they won't tell you because there is no locking pieces that's generally recommended, and if you do install a new locking piece, that also voids the warranty. So when it comes to the gun and the company, it's just ultimately very, very disappointing. Trying to look at the positive facts about the gun, I'm truly looking at just the positive facts of the MP5 system as a whole. I love the MP5. The recoil impulse when this thing is going bang downrange is phenomenal. You guys, once again, will notice in the most recent range day that it is just, I mean, it's ripping it up. You can fire fast with this. As far as the factory trigger in the PTR trigger housing and the trigger pack, it's actually really nice. So you have more of a standard safety selector here on the opposite side. It is a little tight, but not bad at all. And when you're in the fire position, you have essentially a two-stage trigger here where you get to a really nice wall. You'll have a little bit of creep, and then your brake, and then you have your reset there, creep again, and brake. But I have to say, the more that I have continue to shoot the gun, the more rounds I get downrange. We're probably up at about the 2,000 round count right now. It definitely has smoothed out the trigger a good bit, so that is really nice. I mentioned after the last fix that they tightened up the mag well. My guess is because it had something to do with it being out of spec. The mags are still pretty tight, but it's nothing that is terrible. I'd rather have them with just a slight amount of movement. Typically that's normal in an MP5 variant, but they are not as crazy loose as they were in the very beginning. Is this the most practical MP5 setup for mounting accessories and a defensive use? Absolutely not, but once again, this in my opinion is what looks the coolest, so that is exactly how this is going to stay. The gun's been incredibly accurate, which is another thing you're going to see in the MP5 series across the board. They're generally great, accurate subguns, and probably still one of my favorites. And hopefully the new one that you guys are going to be seeing here in the collection soon is going to be just as nice of a shooter as the PTR is here when it decides to work. If you guys have any other questions about this PTR 9CT, please throw them down below in the comment section. That's going to wrap this video up. I hope it gave some of you the update that maybe you were looking for, even though I know it's probably not what you want to hear. You're always going to get honesty from this channel no matter what, and that will never ever change. While you're down below in that comment section, head up to the description, check out those links. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.